Two Norfolk children killed in just 2 months. Heaven Watkins and Harley Ray Williams' lives ended far too soon, allegedly by those who were supposed to take care of them. 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller sits down with advocates to examine the problems and solutions that could prevent child abuse in our community.
For weeks now, we've been investigating tragic issues within the child protection system, a system Heaven's and Harley's loved ones say did not protect them. And child abuse prevention advocates agree the system failed these children.
Heaven Watkins was just an 11-year-old, a child who would become an innocent victim. Our investigation showed Heaven's family had a history with child protection in Minnesota. When the family moved to Norfolk, CPS here got involved in February, but kept the little girl in her home. Just 3 months later, Heaven would wind up dead. Her mom, LaToya Smith, and Smith's boyfriend, DeMont Harris, are charged in her death.
To me, LaToya and DeMont is not the only ones that killed Heaven. Child protection had a big part of that.
2-year-old Harley Ray Williams, another innocent victim in Norfolk. Harley was allegedly killed by her mother's boyfriend, John Tucker Hardy. She was scalded so badly her skin started to come off. We've uncovered at the time Hardy was on probation for beating his own son. Prosecutors say he never should have been living in the home with Harley.
It's a lot. It's a lot because she had her whole life ahead of her. And it all could have been prevented.
In both cases, the mothers and mothers' boyfriends sit in jail accused in the children's death. Heaven and Harley are not alone. The most recent data reveals in 86% of the founded child abuse deaths in our area, the children died in the care of their parents.
Did the system fail these children?
I think in this case, I don't think there is any question the system did fail.
Melinda Ciccati is the executive director of Champions for Children in Hampton Roads.
You go, oh no, not again. And then I look and I listen and I think, okay, how long is it going to take before something changes?
Ciccati explains there is a resource issue within the Department of Social Services.
It's a system that's overburdened and really is stretched to its limit.
Sources say there is consistent pressure for caseworkers to keep families together and not remove children from their homes in most cases. And Ciccati feels the reactive system needs to change its perspective.
If we are to stop abuse, we must stop reacting to this and get out in front of abuse.
Instead of caseworkers coming into a home when something bad happens, social services should be part of the family dynamic before abuse ever starts.
We should be doing more of home visiting. What does it take for home visiting programs? It takes funding and it takes parameters that are established by legislators.
Ciccati believes everyone needs to step up.
What's at stake here?
The lives of our children and the safety of our children.
Throughout our investigation, we've shown you a lot of documents and introduced you to a lot of people affected by these tragedies. We've posted all of the information in our stories and Heaven's aunt's full interview on 13newsnow.com so you can take a closer look. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.